Hello, welcome to the Veater channel. This is Reed Neely. I'm a bronc rider myself, and I love riding saddle bronc because for about 8 seconds it feels like you're about to die. Now if you're watching this video, you're trying to learn how to ride saddle bronc yourself. And now in this video today I'm going to show you how to do that. Before you get started, you don't necessarily have to buy a lot of these things. You could probably borrow them from different bronc riders. Right here's a bronc rein. This is what you're going to attach to your halter to lift on when you're riding. These right here are some shaps. This kind of provides some protection between you and these swells. And then you're going to need a cinch to put on your latigos here. And that tightens your saddle down to the horse. And then you have some bronc riding boots, real small rowels. The shank doesn't matter, but the rowels, you don't want them sharp or nothing. And just single stitch boots, slide in and easy out of your stirrups. And then a bronc saddle. And you want your bronc saddle to fit you fairly well with the stirrup lengths and whatnot, and the seat size. Alright, in this portion, I'm going to teach you how to saddle your bronc effectively inside the bucking chute. So first, we're going to take our halter, we're going to put our rein onto it, take your twine, we're going to put it on the halter, and then we're going to put the cinches on the saddle, we're going to put the saddle on the pony. So the first step, you're going to take your twine and you're going to do sort of a figure 8 knot. You're going to go underneath this ring. We're going to come back around. Then now you have your loop. You're going to feed your grip through your loop right there. And that's going to kind of lock that halter down in place. So that when the pickup men come by and grab your twine, it's not going to come off your halter. Okay, so once again, here's kind of a close-up of how I do this. So you're going to go underneath that ring and underneath this chin strap, and if you're right-handed like I am, you're going to start through the left, and then you're going to come back around, then you're going to come underneath that loop right there, and then now you've finished it off by feeding your handle through that hondu right there. And then you're going to want to tighten that down as much as you can so that your rein measurement's accurate. Right there in the middle is where you want it. Now that you got that secured, now you're ready to move on to the cinches. So first thing you need to figure out what side your pony is going to enter the arena on. So if you're sitting on the horse and your right hand is to the arena, then that's a right hand delivery. So this right here is the right side of my saddle. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cinches and set them up for the right side. You're going to do all your working from the inside of the bucking chutes. The way to make this easier is just to get all your stuff set up before you even plop it on your horse. So now that I have this all ready to go, I'm going to go to the next step, which is putting it on your pony. So now I'm going to let him know that I'm here, just so he doesn't freak out when I'm putting all this stuff on him. So I'm going to try to work from the middle of his body forward. So I'm going to let him know my rein's there, just kind of pet on him. And then I'm going to put my halter on. I'm going to hold the long end here and then hold the buckle. I'm going to hand myself the long end underneath his neck. Some horses won't let you do this, and you can just hang it right here and swing it on their nose. But if they do, I try to hold the nose band so they don't end up eating it. So then you're going to put this halter on, not too tight but not too loose. You're going to feed it through these keepers right here. And then you're going to tie his mane around the top part of this halter. And what this does, it keeps the halter in place when the pickup men come to pick up your bronc, because they're going to use your rein to control the horse. So I just do a couple square knots, and that'll kind of hold on there because horse hair is a little hard to tie knots with. So once you have that done, depending on if you're right or left hand, some guys will stick it through the halter here, but with younger horses, they don't like a lot of stuff going on in front of their head. So I'll try to feed it, since I'm right-handed. I'm going to feed it back through itself right here and just let that hang. So if he starts freaking out in there, this halter doesn't really have much place to go. Alright, so now that you got your halter on, now we're going to put our saddle on. So I try to do 1 cinch at a time, just so you don't get them mixed up when you're trying to hook them in there. So now that I got my cinch resting on its side, once I drop everything down, it's not going to get hung up anywhere. So I don't want to set my saddle where I want to run it just yet. I'm just gonna hook my cinches underneath this belly, and I'm gonna, if I don't have anybody helping me, I'll just kind of hang on to this latigo, because as I'm hooking it underneath there, I can pull my saddle off real quick if this horse starts acting up. Whereas if you have a guy helping you, I'll kind of hold these swells for you and keep it in place. All right, so now that you've got your cinch ran down on the other side, I'm gonna go ahead and hook this bad Larry. I try to get the buckle every time. And then I'm just gonna kind of feed him through there so I can get my hook out of the way. Once I got that right there, I got 3 wraps on my other side with my latigos. So I'm gonna do the same. You want them pretty equivalent on either side. You want them to be parallel, those 2 lengths. So now that I got that right there, now I can run my saddle to where I need it. I'll just pull it forward a little bit. And you want about a half stirrup length in front of their neck. This horse is a little smaller, so that will suffice. You want them straight up and down, and you want your cinch ring to be right in about their shoulder, their armpit right there. So now that I got that set, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my back cinch down. And I'm gonna catch my back cinch as well, first try. Works every time. And I don't want to make it really tight, because they'll feel that in their flanks and it might make them kind of froggy in there. But I just want it tight enough to where if they start kicking at their belly, they won't catch a hoof in your back cinch, because that'll cause a wreck. And you don't want that. So now we're gonna get a little bit. You're gonna have to tighten both sides to get it pretty even, but I already got the other side where I want it, so I'm just gonna tighten this side. And you don't want it real tight. Right there's about all I want. I can get my fingertips in there. And you don't want it too tight to where you're sucking the air out of the bucking horse, because he will not buck. And you want them to buck. Make you lots of money. So I'm gonna do a half hitch right there. And then you're gonna come up and underneath your D-ring here. Once you get that nice and tight, then you're gonna come up underneath your billet. And then you're gonna pull that on the other side of the saddle there. And I'll do the other one just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna pull them both tight underneath the seat of my saddle. What this does, it keeps everything tight underneath there. Locks itself down. So I'm pulling this side to get that side free, and I pulled this side on that side to get this side free underneath here. So I'm just gonna pull it as far as I can that way, and then I'm just gonna lightly tuck it underneath the back of my seat. Now I'm going to show you how to measure your rein. So this rein measurement, the length or the shortness of it, depends on if a horse bucks with his head down or up. So you're going to take a longer rein if he bucks with his head down, and vice versa. So you want to make sure his head's fairly straight, and you're just going to pull your left hand. If you're right with your right, you're going to use your left hand. You're going to make a fist with your thumb pointing backwards behind the swells. And now I'm just gonna get it tight, and that's gonna be my average right there. Now a lot of horses don't like you pulling on them, so once you get your average, just let go of your rein. You don't need to measure your fingers behind the swells there. So this is an average right here. It's also known as an X. So this is X in 2, 3, 4. This is X in 5, and this is a double average. And so this is a really long rein, because you grab it up here rather from right there. But wherever your thumb ends, that's where you're going to grab your bronc rein, right there. And now you don't want to have your back cinch in them too long, but being this is a saddle horse, I'm not going to grab that. But once I grab my back cinch, I got my rein, my stirrups are freed up, and my saddle's tight, now I'm going to go ahead and sit on them. So as dangerous as this event is, it's not that dangerous inside the arena as much as it is inside the bucking chute. You're trapped in steel in here, so you want to get in and out of here as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one foot on the seat, and I'm going to sit down as quick as I can. And then I'm going to get the easiest stirrup to get, because sometimes a horse will lean either side in here. So this is what that looks like. I'm going to put my foot on him, and I'm going to sit down as quickly as I can. My left foot he's leaning on, so I can't get that down, but at least my butt's in the seat. And so if they start rearing up on you or something, you're just going to lean forward and it'll feel a lot not as bad, because if you're kind of sitting up or back, you're going to feel the whiplash of him and then you plopping into the back of the chute. So I'm going to get my left side, and then I'm going to get my right side. Now I'm just going to kind of wiggle him around in here to get him to shift his weight. And then I'm going to get my right stirrup. And now you don't want to poke them in here. You want your toes forward so your spurs aren't touching them. You want to be as calm as you can in here. So then, once I got all that ready, I usually just take a deep breath and nod my head. You don't want to think about anything in here. You don't want to sit in here too long. I just sit back, get my rein ready, and nod my head. Then their first jump out, you're going to want to mark them out. You don't want to mark them out inside of here because they can come back on you. So you're just going to lift on your rein and mark them out, their first jump out, and then we'll show you part 2 of how that goes. So the mark out rule is what makes a bronc ride legal or not. It's the first time a horse crosses a plane of the buck and chute and puts its front feet on the ground. And so you have to put your feet over the point of his shoulder before his feet hit the ground, his front feet hit the ground. If you don't, your whole ride's illegal no matter how well you rode. And if you do, then it is a legal ride. So the first mark out is right before, like we did over there, right before you nod your head. You're going to sit in there, relax. I usually try to find the length of my arm. Good buddy taught me that. How far your arm goes, that's where you should sit, right there. And then once the chute opens, then your first move is right there. And that's your mark out. And I try to, as a general rule, I try to hold that for about 2 jumps, and then I'll start spurring, because that's generally how long it takes some horses to start bucking, and others may scoot a little bit further or shorter, but at least if you practice holding for 2 jumps, you're used to, if they break a little bit earlier, then you can start spurring a little bit earlier, but if you practice that, then you can prepare yourself for a little bit of a scoot. So now I'm going to kind of just go through a ride that I generally make on this bucking machine. You're going to see the face of death here soon. So we've got James on the controls. So I'm just going to think about lifting across, getting my elbow in, so that if I get to pulling, my elbow will come here rather than behind me. And then I'm just going to try to keep my shoulders square. I'm just going to try to get small and tuck your chin the whole time too. So most of you guys may not have access to a nice bucking machine like the one that George Veater lent us, but if you don't, you can go down to your local feed store and grab yourself a bale of alfalfa hay. It is zote hay, but it will suffice. They're about $15, and you can just strap your cinch underneath it and your back cinch underneath it, and run your rein somewhere around the front of one of them strings, and just practice on spurring and just practice on just getting in the movement of riding a bronc. Another way is to use a sawhorse and just put some pieces of plywood on the side, and that's another way that you can practice at home if you don't have access to a bucking machine. Reed Neely out of chute number 4 right here. Marked him out, held him for 2. This horse feels really good when you mark him out. You can just really get a hold of him, and then he just sits right underneath you. So right there, that first jump, I'm pitching my rein out there and trying to get underneath it and trying to get my lifting down. So I'm not so much pulling on him as I'm just, see right there, you can kind of see it, my rein's kind of staying out there. And I'm just kind of using my rein to push my shoulders back. And I'm trying to fight to get to the front end each time, even when he takes a stumble there. Since all my energy is kind of on the back end, I can spur through those little stumbles right there. And your feet just feel weightless. And so right here when he kind of runs in that gate, I kind of see that. And he just stacked up. It was real nice for me for about 8 seconds, so I was going to let him take a break here. And then I just D'd up, and the pickup men were kind of giving me a hard time about spurring him too much, so I quit at about there. But if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to us, and go ahead and smash that like button, and go ahead and comment down below if you have any questions. Of course, follow me on Instagram, Reed Neely. And if you have any questions for me personally, don't be afraid to DM me.